Sai Ram. Let us understand chapter number 21, bestowing grace. But before that, let us do the Namasmaran, followed by chapter number 21, and then we will conclude chapter number 21 with the Aarti. श्री सच्चिदानंद सद्गुरु साईनाथ महाराज की जय। ओम श्री साईनाथाय नमः। 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 Chapter number 21, bestowing grace. I bow down to Shri Ganesh. I bow down to Shri Saraswati. I bow down to the Guru. I bow down to the family deity. I bow down to Shri Sita Ramachandra. I bow down to Shri Sadguru Sainath. At the end of the last chapter, we mentioned about how Thakur and others had darshan of a great person. Listen to the story attentively now. Wasted are the words of a speaker if by listening to them a listener is not affected and does not show the sign that he is overwhelmed with emotions and gets goose pimples. A narration is worthless if the listeners are not in ecstasy, not choked with emotions, and if their eyes are not filled with tears of happiness. Baba's speech was captivating. His style of teaching was exceptionally good. His arguments were unique. I leave my head at his feet, who reveals something new at every step. One can never be able to meet a holy man till fortune smiles on him. Even if such a person is very close, a sinful person is unable to discover him. There is no need to go far for finding proof of this axiom because I'm going to tell you about my own experience. There was a saint called Peer Maulana who was residing at Bandhara. Hindus, Parsis, and learned men from other religions used to come and take darshan of the pure soul. I was a magistrate of that place. His Mujawar, by name Inus, tried infamously to persuade me to come for darshan. Thousands of people come there. Why should I go there on account of pressure and spoil my name? Some such thoughts came to me, and I never went for darshan. I was, as it were, afraid of my own shadow, and somehow ill struck came my way. Many years passed. Thereafter, I was transferred from there. Later, when opportune time came, I became attached to Shirdi for all times. In short, the unfortunate can never reach the vicinity of saints. This is the most difficult meeting and can be accomplished only by God's grace. Now, listen to a pleasing story about this. There are from times unknown such secret arrangements of saints, and they go on carrying their mission while the world is unaware of it. As time flows, the saints choose the place of their liking and appear in human form to fulfill some mission. But in reality, they are not different from another. The place, time, person, though different, a saint realizes the essence of the personality of other saints. They are all united inwardly as they are only one, like the outposts of an emperor situated at different places with officers in charge to look after the population and its prosperity. Similarly, the emperor of boundless happiness manifests at different places with officers in charge to look after the population and its prosperity. Similarly, the emperor of the boundless happiness manifests at different places and controls the invisible reins of his own empire. Once, a subtle gentleman who had the privilege of an education in English, holding a Bachelor of Arts degree, climbed step by step and became a big officer. Later on, he became a Maltardar and then rose to be an assistant collector. Because of good fortune, he came in contact with Sai Baba. Outwardly, these posts look very attractive, like mountains from a distance. But if you go nearer to them, they are found surrounded by trees which give an itch. But at that time, these posts command prestige. Those pleasant days are long past when people used to crave for such posts. The general public too honored the officers and mutually were happy. Now let us talk about the present conditions. Gone are those days when it was nice to be in the government service. Now the responsibilities have increased and the emoluments are insignificant. In the olden times, the Mamtaldar was respected as the collector and was honored, but the grandeur is more though, and no one works hard. Be it so. After spending all on education and after studying very hard, one was able to acquire these high posts. First of all, one had to pass the Bachelor of Arts degree, then become a clerk of a government office, earn rupees monthly salary of 30. In this manner, one had to go on for some time. During the course of time, he had to go down to the ghats, learn surveyor's work, live among them, measure the lands, and pass departmental examinations. Later on, if a higher official in the service died, leaving his position vacant, then he would be able to get that post. Enough of this gently, lengthy, and uninteresting narration. Why should I go on prattling about it unnecessarily? Listen to the story about how such a person met Sai. Near Belgaum, there is a town called Vadagaon. A team of surveyors had camped there. In this town, there was a saint staying there. They went to take darshan, bowed their heads at his feet, and received blessings. The holy person was holding a book called Vichar Sagar by Nishal Das, which he was reading to them. After a while these people started to take his leave, the saint spoke to a particular gentleman with great delight. Listen to that. You may leave now. Be sure to read this book by which your wishes will come true. Bear this in mind. Later on, in the course of your work, when you go towards the north, because of your good fortune, you will have the darshan of a great man on the way. He will show you the path further on and will grant you peace of mind. He will give you advice and impress upon you the knowledge of self. The work there was completed and he was transferred to Junnar. On the way to Junnar, he had to cross Nane Ghat, which was a big obstacle. The road was very formidable and could be traversed only with the back of a he buffalo, which was the only means of transport. So the buffalo was brought for him to ride on. Later on, the man may become a senior officer and may get horses and carriages, but presently he had to satisfy himself with a buffalo. There was no choice. It was impossible to climb the ghat on the foot. There was no other convenient transport. Such was the speciality of Nane Ghat. Thus, the conveyance was really unusual. So he took the decision and the buffalo was made ready. It was saddled and with great difficulty he mounted on it. Though he did mount it, there was a steep climb. The vehicle being of all things a buffalo, he was reduced to swinging and swaying, and he developed a pain in the back. So be it. The journey ended. The Junnar mission was completed. He got a transfer order and he moved from there. He was transferred to Kalyan, where he was made the acquaintance of Chandorkar and heard of Sainath's fame. A desire arose to have his darshan. That chance came the very next day because Chandorkar was planning a trip to Shirdi. He said to him, "Accompany me on this pilgrimage to Shirdi. Let us take Baba's darshan. Both of us can bow down to him, stay there for a day or two, and return to Kalyan." But on the very day, in the civil court in Thane, a case was scheduled for hearing. Therefore, he had to give up the trip in his company. Nana Sahib coaxed him. "Come along, Baba is great. He will fulfill your desire for darshan. The case is a trivial matter." But how could he be convinced? He was afraid of missing the date of the hearing. How could he avoid these futile visits which heaven had destined for him? Nana Sahib Chandorkar told him of previous experiences of other people about how their desire for darshan was always fulfilled and the difficulties were warded off. But he could not bring himself to believe. He could not help his own nature. He said, "First, let the worry get off my mind. Let the suit get over fast." So be it. Then he proceeded to Thane while Chandorkar left for Shirdi. When he returned after the darshan, something wonderful had happened here. Though he was present and at the appointed time, the case was postponed. He had also missed going along with Chandolkar, and thus he was full of regrets. He wished that he had believed him. Chandorkar would have taken him along and himself, and he would have had a darshan peacefully at Shirdi. This case reminded me that where it where he had lost the chance to see a saint. Therefore, on the spur of a moment, he decided to go to Shirdi. He thought that perhaps if he reached Shirdi, he was lucky that he would be able to meet Nana and he would take him to Sainath personally. Then he would be happy. "I do not know anybody in Shirdi. I will be a complete stranger there. If I meet Nana, it will be beneficial to me, though it is a remote possibility." Thinking thus, he boarded the train and reached Shirdi the next day. Of course, Nana was not there. The day he left for his trip, when Nana left for Shirdi, by this he was disheartened and felt great disappointment. So be it. He met another friend, a nice man, who took him for Sai's darshan and fulfilled his wish. The moment he set his eyes on him, he was overwhelmed with faith and he prostrated himself. The hairs on his whole body stood on the end, and tears of love flowed from his eyes. While he was thus standing, hear carefully what Baba said to him with a smile of understanding, as he was omniscient. "The path of this place is not so easy as the teachings of the Karnis Appa or even the buffalo ride in the Ghats. There is no alternative but to put your best exertions." When he heard these significant words, he was overwhelmed with emotion and realized that words of a holy man who he had met previously proved to be correct. Then he folded his hands together and placed his head at the feet of Sai. He said, "Have mercy on me, Sai Nata. Accept me, an orphan, at your feet. You alone are my great saint and guardian. Today I have fully understood the teachings in the book of Nischal and its significance and divine meaning. Where's Vadagaon and where is Shirdi? What a union of spirits of great saints! How brief yet enlightening is their speech! What a magnificent method of instruction! One advised reading a book and predicted meeting a great saint who would give upadesh and advise further growth. By the grace of God, he had been met and he had indicated that he is concerned by significant words. The book has been read, but now it must be put into practice. Then Sainath said to him, "Whatever Appa has told you is correct, but when you put it into practice, then only your wishes will be fulfilled." Nishal Das Vichar Sagar was mentioned in Vadagaon sometime after repeated readings and after a certain lapse of time. How to put it in practice was taught in Shirdi. First, You must read the book carefully, then ponder upon it. With repeated readings, it will lead to a total absorption in the subject. Just reading is not enough. It should be put into practice. Otherwise, it is like a water on a duck's back. Mere reading is a waste of time till the meaning is not experienced. For which the blessings of a guru who had knowledge of the Brahman is required. Mere bookish knowledge is futile. A simple story depicting the meaning will bring out the importance of faith, which is the most essential for attaining the goals of life. Listeners should listen to it for their benefit. Once, a resident in Pune, whose name was Anantrao Patnakar, who had developed an urge for Sai's darshan and came to Shirdi soon. He had heard all the Vedas and read the original Upanishads along with the commentaries, but his mind remained always restless and peace of mind eluded him. When he had taken Sai Samartha's darshan, Patnakar's eyes were rewarded. After bowing down at his feet, he worshipped him with ritualistic accuracy. Afterwards, with folded hands, he sat in front of Baba very close to him. Anantrao, who looked very lovingly, asked him with extreme humility, I have read many books, including the Vedas, Vedangas, and Upanishads. I have listened to the holy Shastras and Puranas. Yet, why is my mind so despondent? I now feel that whatever I have read has been wasted. I think that even an illiterate devout devotee is better off than me. All my study of books, learning of the Shastras is a waste. All this bookish knowledge is futile as long as the mind remains unsteady. Oh, how empty is the effort I have made over such study of etymology. To what purpose is the japa and mantra which does not give peace of mind? How will I then acquire knowledge of the Brahman? By word of mouth, I have heard that Sai's darshan will ward off all worries and remove and the worries will be removed and will show you the right direction in your humorous talk very easily. Therefore, Maharaj, treasure trove of austerities, I have reached at your holy feet. Give me your blessings, by which I have peace of mind. Upon which Maharaj told him a humorous parable, by which Anantrao was satisfied and enjoyed the fulfillment of his learning. Those few words are the entire essence of the knowledge. I will tell you the story. Be ready to hear it. It will be humorous but meaningful. Who can disregard such words? Baba said in reply. Once a merchant came along and at that time a horse passed 9 balls of stool in front of him. The merchant was very efficient. He immediately took off his wrap and spread it out, collected all the balls and tied a knot and was able to achieve concentration of mind. What has Sai Samartha said? What should it be its meaning? Why is the collection of stool by a merchant? He did not understand anything. Thinking thus, Anantarao came back and related the conversation from the beginning to the end to Kelkar and said, who was the merchant? What was the purpose of those balls of stool? Why number 9 is mentioned? Please reveal the meaning to me. Dada, what kind of a riddle is this? I find myself incompetent to solve it. Tell me something which will open Baba's heart clearly to me in plain words. Dada said, I too don't understand. Baba's talk is always of this kind, but I will tell you whatever I'm able to understand as he inspires me. The horse is God's grace. This is how the puzzle of ninefold devotion could be explained. Without devotion, one cannot have union with God, and knowledge will not be acquired. Listening, singing the Lord's praises aloud, remembering Lord Vishnu, serving at his feet, offering prayers, bowing down before him, being humble, developing affection, and surrendering the Atma. These are the 9 ways of devotion. With full faith, Even if one of these ways of devotion is practiced, Sri Hari, who longs for devotion, will appear in the home of his devotees, chanting of the Lord's name, practice of austerities, keeping of vows, practicing yoga, learning of the Vedas and Upanishads, abundance of metaphysical knowledge and its various explanations. All this is will a sham without faith. There is no need to be well versed in the Vedas, nor any need to be a famous scholar. It is neither necessary to sing the praises of God without feeling. Only the loving sentiment of devotion is essential. Consider yourself to be the merchant and grasp the significance of the transaction. When the flag of devotion in the form of ninefold bhakti flies high, then the incarnation of knowledge will be pleased. When the horse passed the nine balls of stool, the merchant eagerly went forward to collect them. Similarly, the ninefold devotion, when adopted, will give complete peace of mind. Only that will give stability to the mind, develop affection for every being, for which seriousness of mind is necessary. Otherwise, waywardness is inevitable. This is what Guru Raya said with love. Next day, when Anantarao went to bow down at Sai's feet, he was asked, "Did you gather up balls of stool?" Anantarao then prayed, "Have mercy on this humble devotee." Then he would be collected effortlessly. Otherwise, can one gather such great objects easily? Then Baba blessed him and assured him with the words, "May there be well being." Anantara was pleased and enjoyed bliss. Now, another short story. Listen to it respectfully. You will come to know about Baba's omniscience and his endeavor to guide towards the divine path. Once a lawyer came and went to the masjid. The moment he arrived, he took Sainath's darshan and bowed down at his feet. He then gave dakshina without being asked and went and sat nearby. He felt like listening to Sai's conversations with respect. Baba then turned his face and uttered the words which were meant for the lawyer. The words pierced his heart, and the lawyer was repentant. What frauds people are! They touch my feet, offer dakshina also, and abuse me in the heart of hearts. How queer are their ways! Having heard this, the lawyer kept quiet, but he fully understood the significance. He realized that the words were meant for him only. The essence of words penetrated deep into the mind. Later on, when he went to the Wada, he told Dikshit that Baba's cutting words had hurt him, but they were true. As soon as I arrived, he fired me, but that was the kind of warning to me that I should never indulge in mocking or backbiting anybody. As our Munsif was not keeping good health and he was restless, he took leave from office and stayed on peacefully here to improve his health. While we were in the chamber of lawyers, the discussion around the municip, and though we were not directly concerned, conjunctures were made. Without medication, just by following Sai, can the physical ailments be cured? Does it befit him who has risen to the status of Munsif to behave in this superstitious way? While he was being reviled, was also belittled. I was also party to a small extent to all this, and that fault of mine was pointed out by Baba. It was not a scolding, but a blessing in itself. One should not unnecessarily participate in useless discussions, malign or criticize others, and pass bitter remarks behind their backs of people, and should refrain from indulging in these bad habits. Besides, this is proof that even if the distance of 100 cos, Sai is omniscient and knows the heart of every person. Moreover, one more matter became clear that intervening hills and mountains could not hide anything from Sai. Securely hidden secrets were open to him. Be it so. From that day onwards, the lawyer decided that in future he would never criticize or utter ill words. This was his vow. Wherever and whatever one does cannot remain unknown to Sai became a firm conviction. The bad habit was given up. He became conscious of doing good deeds because he knew that Sai, as it were, was watching him from all sides and who can be capable of deceiving Sai. He was thoroughly convinced of this. Through the story concerns the lawyer, it was meaningful in all respects at all times for everybody. The lawyers, the listeners, the speakers, and all the devotees of Sai should also take the same vow. I truly pray thus. When the cloud of Sai's grace showers upon us all, we will be contented. There is no doubt about this. All those who are thirsty will quench their thirst. Inexpressible is Sai's greatness. Unfathomable is the meaning of his stories. Boundless are the limits of his biography. He is the incarnation of the Supreme Brahman. Now, listen to the story in the next chapter. O you listeners who have faith with respect, it will fulfill your desires and give peace of mind. Sai Samartha knows the future miseries in the lives of his devotees. He wards them off occasionally, casually, jokingly, and laughingly in the course of light conversations. The devotee Hemath surrenders to Sai. Now, the present narration is complete. The next story deals with the removal of difficulties of devotees. How Sai, the ocean of compassion, is aware of terrible difficulties to befall his devotees in the future and how he removes them by giving timely warning. May there be well being. This is the end of the 21st chapter of SHRI Sai Samartha Satcharitra, written by the devotee Hemad Pant, impelled by saints and virtuous people, called Bestowing Grace. This is offered to Sri Sadguru Sainath. May there be auspiciousness. Om Sai Ram. Let us now conclude chapter number 21 by doing the Aarti. श्री सच्चिदानंद सतगुरु साईनाथ महाराज की जय. शिर्डी माझे पंढरपूर साई बाबा रामावारा. बाबा रामावारा साई बाबा रामावारा. शुद्ध भक्ती चंद्रभागा भाव पुंडली जागा. पुंडलिकन जागा भाव पुंडलिकन जागा. याव याव अवके जन करा बाबा श्रीवंदन. साई श्रीवंदन करा बाबा श्रीवंदन. गणोबने बाबा साई भाव पाव माझे आई. पाव माझे आई भाव पाव माझे आई. अनेलु तांगण बने कचरण तोयाती पायन रूपा तुझे. प्रेमीन रंगीन अनंत पूजिम पवेव मा इन बनेल मा. त्वमेव माता पिता त्वमेव त्वमेव बन्धु सदा त्वमेव. त्वमेव विद्या दैरङ्गमेव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देव. पयर्नुमा चापसनियर्मा उद्यकनावा पतन स्वभाव. नरोमि यद्यन् सकलं तरस्मै नारायणाय समर्पयामि. अच्युतं केशवं राम राम नारायणं कृष्ण दामोदरं वासुदेवं हरे. माधवं माधवं गोपिकावल्लभं जानकीनायकं रामचन्द्रं हरे. हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे. श्री गुरुदेव दत्त सच्चिदानंद सद्गुरु साईनाथ महाराज की जय. Om Sai Ram. I urge all the listeners to read one chapter of the Sai Satcharitra every day and soak in Baba bliss. Baba bless you. Om Sai Ram.